Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's Power Hour. We are in week, should I look this up, 13, I believe, 13 or 14. Today's Power Hour is sponsored by the Indian Collective, NDN Collective. So shout out to y'all. Thank you. Today we have the I-20SP crew, a couple of us, here to chat and have some conversation with all of you. I hope that you guys participate with us. So I think to kick it off, I'll introduce myself and then I'll let my friends introduce themselves. And we kind of have long introductions because we do this in our work. So I hope that you guys can do this along with us. If you want to do it in the comments or with the people around you in your homes. These are our usual asks. So we ask for you to say your name. In addition to that, where are you from? 5 things that you're grateful for. We're going even bigger, 5 things positive about ourselves. And then on a scale of 1 to 10, where are we and why? So if you guys want to do that in the comments or with the people in your house, feel free. So hello, Naha. My name is Shailene Joseph. On my mother's side, I am Ani from Fort Belknap, Montana. And on my dad's side, I am Koikan Athabaskan from Tanana, Alaska. Oh, hello, Lisa. 5 things that I'm grateful for today. I am thankful for my family. I'm thankful for the reminder yesterday that I had about how precious life is. I'm thankful for everybody, on the ground during this movement, during this revolution, who are actively creating change. I'm thankful for my team and all of the support that we give each other and the love that we give each other. And then lastly, I am thankful for my health. Our entire household got tested for COVID. So if I do answer my phone, those are my results because I'm the last person in the house that hasn't gotten their results yet. So that's that. And on a scale of 1 to, oh, no, sorry, 5 positive things about myself. I'm creative. I am an auntie, and I absolutely love being an auntie. It's one of my favorite things in the world. I'm a hard worker, compassionate, and lastly, I am willing to try new things. I'm very open-minded. Let's see. All right, and a scale of 1 to 10. Today, in this very moment, I'm like a 9.5 on my way up to a 10. Super excited to see these 2 faces here with me, and that all of you are here with us as well. So yeah, kicking on over to Sid.
All right. Good afternoon. Yata CRBA Nasha Tapaha Nasha Sinjakina Bashishti Ganashite Sitnajali Shinala Sahitso de Nasha Shuma Elena Adams Suya Shija Area. That is who I am, where I'm from, who my parents are. I grew up on a border town near the Navajo Reservation, but I'm originally from Fort Defiance, Arizona, and that is where a majority of my family lives. And thank you guys for joining us today. You, Shailene, for being so awesome and inviting us on. And Tomas, good to see you again.
What's up, roommate?
I'm laughing because Tomas and I are in separate rooms of the house, but he is my partner and we have our little daughter together and she's asleep right now. And so let's segue into the 5 things I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for my relationships, especially with this guy over here. I'm thankful for my daughter. I'm thankful for knowledge. And I'm thankful for, let's see, food. I'm thankful for resources. And I'm thankful for all of the elements. Yeah. And then 5 positive things about myself would have to be I'm really kind, I'm funny, I'm creative, I'm a mom, and I like to make people feel good. Yeah. Passing it over to you.
Thank you.
I don't know which side you're on.
Yeah, it depends. Keshe Kuiraba. My name is Tomas Carmelo Amaya. I'm Ashui and Yoeme on my mom's side and Raramuri on my dad's side. I was born and raised in West Phoenix, Arizona, which is the ancestral homelands of our Otham relatives. And I am so grateful to be here. Um, let me see, 5 things I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for motherhood. It's amazing to see my partner, Sierra, step into motherhood and just watch her grow every day in so many different ways. And I learn a lot from you, Sierra. So I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful for fatherhood. Fatherhood is something new for me, and I'm learning a lot every day as well. Um, but the motivation of waking up and seeing my little baby girl's face is next level, and I really appreciate that in my life. And I'm grateful for family in a larger sense. Just recently, we were able to see my parents for the first time after a long time, and we ensured everyone was safe. And just feeling that support is amazing, and being strong and committed and staying safe so that we can enjoy those moments is really important. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for healing opportunities. This is a healing opportunity, the power hour from the Native Wellness Institute. And by extension, I'm grateful for healthy conversations. And that's with my different homies that are in the art world, or my friends that are very engaged like in social justice, or just with my sisters or with Sierra. Healthy conversations really help me stay grounded, and I really appreciate them. 5 things that 5 positive things about me. I'm empathetic to the point where I'm one of those types that might tear up on like a 10-second video. um, I probably have cried in 9 out of 10 power hours. I mean, and that's not always empathy. It's not crying is not always empathy, but it's something that I appreciate, and I'm glad Creator and my ancestors have blessed me with to have that ability to empathize. Um, I am also committed. I'm very committed when it comes to doing a project or to nurturing a relationship. I am creative as well. And I think that creativity shows up in different ways, finding creative solutions, not only when it comes to art. I really like languages, and I'm starting to learn more and more of my native languages. So uh, looking forward to that. And I think I'm at 4. I need one more. Another positive thing is I got this dope hat, and I think I earned it. My mom gave it to me. That means a lot. She gave it to me for Father's Day, and I'm liking it. So a positive thing, I guess, would be that I like rocking hats.
I forgot to do the where I'm at.
Oh yeah, where you at?
Yeah. I feel like I am at an 8. I got some coffee, and I'm making my way up to a 10 as well. Where are you at, Tovan?
I'm at a like 9.5. The coffee definitely helped. We've been doing instant coffee, which is nice, but we were low on some supplies. But I'm feeling a 9.5.
That's pretty good. 9.5. That's about our average on our way up to a 10.
Yes.
Cool. I think some of the things that we really wanted to just chat about, and everyone in the comments, thank you for participating. I was like reading everyone's while trying to listen. So hi, Jamie, Alexandra, Malia, hello, Shai. Hi, everyone. And so I think, one of the important things that our crew talks about fairly often is self-care and what does that mean for us, while also, still remaining informed about a lot of different things. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We're in the middle of a revolution. Actually, I wouldn't even say the middle. I would say the beginning of both still. Right. And what does that mean for us, and how are we best taking care of ourselves? I know over here we've been doing, well, now it's like sunny, which I live in Oregon for people who don't know. And so when it's like hot and sunny, it's like the greatest. My brothers like melt away and they complain all the time, but I love it personally.
Y'all have Alaskan roots. That's why.
Those jeans must have like missed me and went all to my brothers. We were all like sitting outside on the deck last night in the back, and we were just visiting, like just sitting there, and one of my brothers was like, "Oh, I was gonna get a workout in, but it's too hot." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "No, it's like perfect out here." I think it was like just under 80, and he was just like, "I can't do this. I can't." And so they stayed still as possible, and they were like, "If I don't move, it's not terrible." I was like, "All right." But I think for me, during this time, even though we're enclosed in a house, we've been spending more time together, but like intentional time, and not just kind of like in the same space. So we've just been like, visiting and hanging out, sometimes working out together. I'm cleared to work out again, so we're getting back to that. Yeah. And then we've been cooking together. But I think also one of the things that we do at dinner is, well, I mean, these guys know, they've eaten with us before, but we talk about what we're thankful for, like every single time, and that always prompts conversation. And a lot of the time, it's been about what's happening in the world, doing a lot of reflecting and kind of seeing where other people, in our own household, like perspectives can always be different. You can grow up the same, but think differently. And so we were just, we've been talking about what does this pandemic continue to mean for us, social distancing, and then also, and then, we all collectively decided to go get tested together. And for those of you who don't know my family, I have 3 younger brothers and an older brother. But so 2 of my brothers, they went by themselves. And then one of my brothers, and then my mom and her partner, we all went together. And I'll tell this quick story. When we went to go get tested, it was a drive up. And so we were like doing fine. I was nervous. I was like a wreck. I was like, okay, I'm ready for this. It's going to be all right. Getting tested isn't bad. Everyone said it was fine. And then my sister, she had gotten tested a couple of days before, and she gave me a play-by-play of everything that happened. And that's what made me nervous. And I was like, okay. She said it was really uncomfortable. She said she cried. And I was like, but I'll be fine. I'll be fine. We're like driving up, and everything was cool until so it's the Hawaiian community and the Native community here that has the highest rates of COVID. And so they were doing testing for those 2 communities. And so when we pulled up, there are all these people, and this woman's like kind of flagging us, and she's like, go down that way. And then all I hear, like real faintly, sorry guys, all I hear really faintly is good luck. And I was like, no. And I was like, okay. So we're like pulling up to the thing. They're signing us in. Sorry, guys. And as we're getting signed in, we're all kind of visiting just in the car, like, what do you think? What's it gonna feel like? And Will, he used to be a medic in the Army, and he was just like, oh, it'll be a Q-tip that's gonna go like maybe 1.5 inches up your nose. And I was like, what the? And I was like, how's that gonna work? And so as we were kind of, making our way, we see these guys in like full hazmat suits. And I was like, all right. And my only thought was like, we have a 2319 from Monsters Inc.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like trying to make myself laugh. And I was like, gonna be cool. It's gonna be fine. And then this girl, she was probably around our age. She's like, I see you're nervous. Don't stress it. It's gonna be fine. It's not even bad. And then I was like, okay. I was like, well, that's comforting. All right. I was like, yeah, I can do this. And she was like, I only cried for like 10 minutes. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, I only cried for like 10 minutes. And she's like, then it's great after that. Like, you'll feel confident. You'll feel fine. You'll be glad that you did it. Once your test comes back, like, you'll be happy. And then there was this grandma on the side, and she starts yelling at her, and she's like, you can't tell her that. You don't know what her results are. And she's like, right. Well, this is going to be great. I was like,
Oh,
and then you like pull up to the next little area, and they begin to test you, and they're like, who's gonna go first? So my brother Tristan, he was like, I'll go first. And they start explaining it to him what's gonna happen. And they're like, it'll take anywhere from 1 to 3 seconds tops. Seconds is tops. And I was like, okay. I was like, they're probably saying like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, right? And so my brother's like, yeah, I'll go first, and then we'll continue on. And so they do his first. Oh, they give him a tissue. And they do his first, and it lasted 13 seconds. And I was like, I quit. Let's go home. I don't want to know. I don't need to know. And then he was like, and took the Q-tip out, and his eyes started watering. And I was like, oh man, okay. I was like, it's gonna be fine. Then they did Will's. Oh, Tristan asked if we could record it, and so I have it recorded.
no.
And then they were doing Will's at the same time, and they didn't give him a tissue, and his eyes didn't water. And I was like, okay, 2 extremes here. And then they come around to mine, and they give me a tissue, and I was like, okay. And I was like, his was really long. Is mine gonna be really long? And they were like, no, it should be like 3 seconds. And I was like, okay. And then they like start doing it. My eyes start to water, and I was like, y'all are straight up tickling my brain right now. And I was just like, okay. And then they finish, and then like only my one eye watered a little bit, and then it was done. And I was like, okay. It was just really uncomfortable. And then they did my mom's, and they didn't give her a tissue. And I was like, what is this? Like, and they did hers. She was so calm the whole way through. She was like, closed her eyes. And then when she was done, she was like, okay. And I was like, what? And Tristan's eyes are still watering.
Oh, no.
And I was like, oh man. And I was like, wait, did you guys' eyes water? And they were like, no, it must be an age thing. And then my mom was like, she's like, come on guys, get it together, to me and my little brother. And I was like, I was like, okay, yeah, it's fine. And then they were like, yeah, you'll get your test results, in a couple of days. And I was like, okay, cool. And I was like, all right, well, let us know. So we go home, and Traven and Shade were home, and they were waiting for us right when we opened the door. And they were like, we didn't want to tell you how bad it was. But so far, everybody's tested negative, which has been awesome. And my grandma commented and said she liked your hat, Tomas.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
Both of you.
Yeah.
She watches all the power hours now. She's on Facebook. Yeah, so I think, self-care wise, we've just been really trying to stay not just busy, but like busy with a purpose. Like yesterday I was doing yard work for my grandparents. That's a whole story I can tell you guys later. And, just kind of, being really mindful while also watching the news. I've been watching the news a little bit less, and just kind of looking through like the actual apps of like reading articles myself. Because I feel like you get, news a little bit differently. You don't have to kind of see some of the other stuff. So also just kind of like staying informed, but having conversations with people who are not only like-minded, but seeing what, the other side is, saying. I do this thing every once in a while where I look at like, what's Fox News saying? It's usually some like ridiculousness, but just to kind of see like, I like to try and understand. No, I'm not going to say understand. I like to pay attention to like, all sides of a story, and just kind of like figure things out. And then I talk about with my brothers, which is usually a really interesting conversation. So I think, for self-care, there's so many things that we do over here, while also, maintaining, our social distancing and just the wildness of the house. We have a little niece who runs around, who's 3. She'll probably end up running in here. And she keeps us busy as well. So I think that's kind of, some of the things that we do here. What about you guys? Since you're in the same household.
You want to go first?
Sure. Well, adding on to what Shay was saying, I've heard that I haven't been tested, but you want to make sure that your chimneys are clean. If you know what I'm saying. You don't want to pull out one of those monsters from Monsters Inc.
That was one of the conversations we had. Shustin was like, "Oh my God, I'm not hydrated." He's like, "I have no moisture in my nose. What do I do?"
Oh, no.
Full spray bottle.
I feel like I'm the opposite. Being down here, it's so dry in Phoenix. I'm like, your boogers dry up literally in seconds. And then it's just
I'm glad we talked about boogers today. It's important because testing. For me, man, healing has so many it has so many aspects to it, and I think one thing that's been helpful for me is to really listen to our relatives that are providing resources, to our Black relatives providing resources. Just as we talk about the importance of natives telling native stories, it's important for our Black relatives to tell their stories. And so really listening intentionally to know the best information on how to help is really important. And so there was a couple of documentaries and films and articles that I read because of some of those resources that were provided. And the more that we understand that we're students for life, the better we become at becoming allies. And my uncle would say, he said, he had me remember this saying, and it's like, the learned is happy, nature to explore. The fool is happy that he knows no more. And he told me, always be a student. Never think that you know everything. And so it was really beautiful to see family and friends talk more about Juneteenth. Some people didn't even know about it, like the word. They didn't know about the history of it. And I felt like just knowing the history and having those conversations was really key. And like Shay was saying, it could come up as easily as one thing that you're grateful for. Maybe during that time, around that time, somebody and multiple people must have said, I'm thankful for Juneteenth and this celebration of Black liberation and moving towards Black liberation. We need to move towards that and celebrate our Black relatives in life and not just in tragedy. Support Black excellence, Black beauty, Black engineers, Black coders, programmers, astronauts, every possible contribution in this world can be tied to our Black relatives, like because we're all related and all connected. And unfortunately, we don't, as a society, dominant culture, acknowledge that as much as we should. So I'm just, that's part of my self-care right now, because, and I've been raised to be a person that's, at rallies and protests. My mom would have me on one of those baby carriers, and my grandma would be there too. And so it's something that my family has instilled in me from a very young age, and it's something that I look forward to teaching Hasea, our baby girl, is to take a stance, to know that the world unfortunately does have injustice, but that fortunately there's an abundance of resources and love that is undeniable. And it's a beautiful feeling when you see people come together. And so for her to experience that and to be alive during this time, to have her really directly and tangibly see this revolution unfold makes me really appreciative and excited to see how she's going to internalize it and how she's going to take our indigenous teachings and express herself and lead her generation in the way that is meant for her. So those are a couple of things. It's just self-care for me has been a lot of staying informed, not talking so much, but listening a lot more, reading a lot more, and watching a lot more documentaries. So how about you, babe?
Thank you for sharing, both of you. It's always good to check in. That's a part of my self-care during this time. We're still in quarantine, and in a way, I feel like being in this quarantine, I'm checking in and I'm talking to friends more than I was before,
Mm.
which has been really, really nice. And now, like with the BLM movement, us changing our topics of what we talk about to, focusing on the movement. And so for myself, learn um, I learn through visuals, and so I've been watching more documentaries. I've been watching on Netflix. They have their BLM little um, their BLM titles and yeah, their BLM what like section. Yeah, they have their BLM section, and so I've been watching a lot of those documentaries and movies. And then also on YouTube, I've been watching a lot of our Black relatives' humor because I love to laugh. I love to
Yeah.
laugh with our relatives in that way and watching, funny videos and just appreciating every aspect of the being of our relatives from all different sides, whether it's the funny side or the sad side or the angry side, being angry with them. And so I feel really fortunate to be alive during this time and for the understanding of our indigenous teachings that when when somebody needs the help and support, you give that wholeheartedly. And so, being the person that I am, really empathizing with everybody and
Mhm.
what they're going through, and um, been doing that. And for self care, while I'm watching these videos or movies, I've been taking care of myself more. Just having a little baby is a lot during the first few months. And so yesterday I was watching a documentary of our Black trans women and the struggle and the fight that they're going through. And while watching that and seeing their beauty and how they take care of themselves and how they take that extra time to make themselves, feel more beautiful and wear makeup as, you know, armor or however they wish to wear makeup, it inspired me to paint my nails. So they inspired
Oh,
me to paint my nails
let's see.
yesterday, and I felt beautiful with them and hearing everything that they had to say and their movement and them always being really in the front lines and understanding um, more of like what happens when you're true to yourself, absolutely true to yourself. Where can that take you? And so all of the courage that our Black trans women have is so inspiring. Um, and I have a really big place in my heart for them right now, especially now with, understanding. Um, we have, our movements are different with missing and murdered Indigenous women than with trans women, and I'm not trying to compare them at all, but having that empathy and feeling that sadness and that grief,
Mm.
that hate, and people that don't understand them can easily take their lives, and so I'm just really praying for the community.
Which one did you guys watch?
I watched. Well, first it started off with me watching Disclosure, which is about trans women of all races. They mainly focus on like actors and actresses, trans men and trans women. And then from there, I went to a different documentary, and that was diving more into an investigation of a trans woman that they said committed suicide, but it could have been homicide.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm really happy that you brought that up. The documentaries and just kind of expanding and going deeper into Black Lives Matter and saying Black trans lives matter and our Black matriarchs matter. Um, the Native Wellness Institute (NWI) posted about the co-founders of the Black Lives Matter movement being all three matriarchs, and that's Alicia, Opal, and Patrice, and that's so important to recognize. And it's another reason why I'm grateful to be creating a household with you, Sierra, a home where we can have these discussions and raise our baby girl with a understanding to really celebrate everybody in our community with love and compassion, and truly just like what you said, the makeup as armor, and that inspiring you to paint your own nails and to join in that happiness or join in that resilience, in solidarity is just such a beautiful sentiment and something that is indicative of how far we've come in a lot of ways, because our own Native communities have struggled with internalizing and navigating through inherent biases and racism, even towards our Black natives, and so as we work through those things, it's important to hear these expressions and to um, um, create safe spaces to discuss them. And the more we're able to see each other for all our beauty, the better off we're going to be as an entire community. So I'm grateful for you, Sierra, for I at that time I was cleaning a room. I had to do some chores, but you were holding it down, and I'm looking forward to learning more from you.
Yeah, I think that's so important, especially like the way that film and documentaries and also like TV series in general, like how much it can teach you. And even if it is like entertainment value, like it can still teach while being highly, like really good entertainment.
Mm.
One of our friends, so for everybody else, our friend Kelly and I, for a while, were like binging and could not get enough of Pose.
Pose.
And then these two were at the house for something. Um, was it camp?
Yeah.
An extended stay, a weekend that turned into a month.
Yeah, and
Joseph in.
and we were like telling them about it, so we were watching it together. But Kelly and I actually, so season 2 is out. We had watched it when it was on TV, so we had already seen it. So everybody was like talking about how, oh my God, the new season of Pose is finally out. And me and Kelly were so excited, all to find out that it was a season we had already watched. And we were like, so we actually started back on season 1, and last night we were watching an episode and my niece came in, and so they went to the ball, and it's like super high energy, And my niece was like so precious. So one of the women gets up, and so people who haven't watched Pose, it's about the trans community and like the houses they build together, and it's amazing. And so one of the women gets up and she's like dancing, and my niece comes in and she's like, oh, she's so pretty. And for me it just triggered like this thought process of like, if we have these conversations early, this could be normal for her. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to have the struggles or the social constructions of like, what has been placed on people, right? We can, actively keep trans people as a part of the community, because they're a pivotal and vital role in our communities, and
Absolutely.
and their lives matter as well. And so she was like watching it, and then we were like dancing on the bed, and we were like jumping around, and then there was a part where it was like, oh, and I closed her eyes and I was like, oh, let's go outside. But she was like, I want to watch it again. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe later. I told Kelly, I was like, yeah, Christine was in here. She was like dancing to it, and then she was like, oh my gosh, yeah, this would be so good for her to watch. And then like real soon, or I was talking to my cousin, and he's like, yeah, it would be really good for her to watch. And then he's like, well, maybe only some parts. Like, for a couple of years. But yeah, I just think it's like, there's so many abilities that TV and documentaries and movies have the ability to teach us, because so many people live in so many, or learn in so many different ways. Like, I'm a hands-on visual learner. If I have to read something, it's going to take me a little bit longer. My attention span isn't that great, but I think there's so many, especially in that show, it makes me think bigger picture just in general. And I think us three have talked about it before, like the show's ability to convey empathy, and to really show you that they are people. And I think that's a conversation that always needs to be had, is like, the people that we interact with are people. They have lives, they have relationships, they are like us. They are not less than, right? Nobody is less than. And I think that's what we need to understand as communities, is to call people in and to show them love, and to create understanding, and have those conversations, even if they're not conversations you've ever had before. You know what I mean? Like, how can we create those communities of accountability, and to understand, and have a good time, because I think it's important to have the hard dialogues, but it's also important to have the good ones too,
Right.
And to celebrate Black lives in their abundance, and I've been using the word abundance so often lately because of the project we're working on. But in Pose, I don't know why it slipped my mind, but one house of abundance, and I was like,
The house of abundance.
yeah, I was like, I'd be in that house. I just, it makes me so happy to see, so, even prior to this, that Black lives are being celebrated, and now, like, the show's so popular, that makes me so happy. You know what I mean? Like, and that these conversations can be had. So I think, kind of moving through a little bit is like talking about the importance of healing in this time, and what does that mean for all of us, and our communities, our smaller families, bigger families, and I'll let you guys kind of kick it off.
Yeah, well, I just want to go back to like when we talk about these documentaries, or when we talk about these movies and these films. I feel like we need to also take the extra step into looking at who is creating these films.
Oh yeah.
And making sure that we're being informed by the actual people that they're portraying in the film. So if it's like a trans movie, I want to watch it with the direction of a trans man or a trans woman. That was something that in the show that they talked a lot about, is that it's a lot of the shows in the past have been really, you know, have portrayed a lot of stereotypes. And so how can we better understand them getting the knowledge from, you know, the actual people who identify versus, you know, through somebody else's view. And so I just wanted to add that into it because, you know, if we're going out and actively seeking this information and, you know, us being informed in a stereotypical way, it can be hard to, you know, unlearn those things.
Yeah, I think I think that was a key thing to point out, and it's kind of eye-opening when you see people go, "Wow, this is doing so well. I wonder why." And it's like, because we've been trying to tell you that it's important for the people to tell their own story. And
Right.
then, and you could throw all the money you want at something, but if you're not coming correct, if you're not keeping it 100 with like, you know, what you're trying to say and who you're involving, that's where you probably will end up into, you know, in some problem areas. And so thank you for bringing that up, Sierra, because we know time and time again, there has not been enough opportunities, but that's changing, where that representation comes directly. And I mean, you and I, Sierra, have been hit up by different non-native teams, and they'll say very nice things to us. And at the end of the day, they just kind of want to use our name to co-sign their project. But when you look at the main leadership and the movers and shakers and key creatives on the project, they're a lot of times white males. So we respectfully and sometimes very directly say, well, let's take a look at this. You know, are we following protocol, and are we involving the right people to tell this story in a good way? And so that's just a great point. And back to media and film as a conversation, I think it's important to really appreciate the power of that, because Sierra and I, when we were at the hospital when baby was born, there was a nurse that was so sweet to us, and she's really well known there at IHS and L&D, and she was just really sweet. And she said she was struggling talking with her son, and she didn't know how to kind of relate to him and have a conversation. I was like, well, is he creative? Like, does he do any crafts? Is there anything you can do with him? And she's like, no. I was like, oh, okay. And we went through this long list, and it was just getting hard to like come up with something. And then she's like, he likes sports. He like wants to watch this documentary on or a film on Michael Jordan. And I was like, well, you can start there. You know, I guess he really likes films, and so films are great for starting conversation, and it allows you to watch on your own times. You know,
Right.
watch something and then you can discuss it with your family. And definitely look at those lists that Sierra mentioned, like the series for BLM are really great places to start. And others that Shay has mentioned, like Pose, really great um, to have art serve as a conversation between you and the art, and then the conversations that it brings to your family and to yourself, even internally. And I when I say challenge everyone, it's like I welcome everyone to visit your own internal biases and prejudice and instances of racism, because we're all susceptible to it, because we're part of this larger dominant society, and it's in everything. And so the more we become aware of it, the more we can move good energy that way and heal those parts of ourselves and of our communities. So just a couple of thoughts right there.
Billy Porter's like voice in my head right now.
I know, me too.
Oh man.
When Christine and Hosea put like their favorite actor, they went to Billy Porter.
Yeah, Pose is such a good show. Oh my gosh.
It's so good. Oh man, we have like 15 minutes.
Warrior Camp.
Warrior Camp, yes. One of the things that we wanted to mention to everybody, so around this time, usually it would be happening already, but because we are in a pandemic, we have moved our warrior camp online. And so this is for about middle school, high school range youth. If you have ever been to our camp and want to bring your friends, now you can, and it's all virtual, it's all online. It is Monday and Tuesday. And so one of the asks that we have before we talk about Warrior Camp is, well, it's still about Warrior Camp, is that every individual youth registers online. And so that we can get some information to you, and some other things to you as well. So if you go to nativewellness.com, the registration sheet is you'll find it on the website. We're so excited. So usually around this time, these guys will be here at the house already. We would be gearing up for usually about 4 days of just awesomeness with so many presenters and activities. But due to the situation that we are all in, and for everyone's safety, all of our trainers have put together their best efforts to make sure that this continues to happen, and it will be virtual. So all of us will be there on Monday and Tuesday. It will be separated out through the day. So there'll be a morning session, afternoon session, and a night session. We'll have cultural sharing night and a talent show as well. And so we invite all of you to show up for the talent show and for the cultural sharing night. We'll be sharing those live here on Facebook so that everybody can participate along with us. I think this is a good time. Let's wasn't planned, but how about we all share just whether it's like a memory or a favorite memory or a funny memory of camp in these last couple of years.
I'm gonna go first. I can hear my baby crying really fast. One of my favorite memories would have to be just the feeling of being outside. And feeling of being outside and watching and looking at our ancestral foods cooking on this open fire. Watching that salmon cook. Oh my gosh.
Crispy.
Like brings so much happiness to me because I, thinking back like how many, for generations and generations have Indigenous eyes looked at salmon with the same love that I was looking at it that day.
I just got real hungry.
I know.
So that's something I am going to be missing dearly about the camp. Usually Will and Jeline take care of the kitchen, and so I really, really am missing their delicious cooking this summer. And I am going to be really trying to tune in their energy and make some salmon here at home to try to make it as normal as possible. And so that's something that I want to do for our families, to still, eat our ancestral foods and, maybe even sit outside when
I'm gonna go build an outside grill.
I am. We have cinder blocks.
There you go.
when we're listening to everybody online. So trying to make it, feel as normal as possible.
Yeah. Definitely along the same line of the ancestral foods. And it's amazing not only to eat it ourselves, but to see the youth eat the food and really enjoy it. And like, they're like, pizza, what? Hamburger, what? I mean, it could be hamburger, but it's elk hamburger.
Yep.
And that elk is hunted, harvested by Shadron Joseph, a dear brother. And that's youth giving back to youth. And that to me is a beautiful thing. Apart from that, there's some people would say roots, some people say roots, some people say woods, some people say woods, but it's the roots. Those are so delicious, and to have relatives from that area. I know it's a mother-daughter matriarchs that come and talk about the medicines that are local to the area, and very important in their nations and their tribes. Those experiences are really, really dear to our heart as a family. And being in the Plank House there on the in Grand Ronde is it's 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 a special, special place. Like the energy in there is so healing, and specifically the cultural sharing night, after a few days of being with the youth, seeing different people at different parts of their healing journey and opening up, and then seeing everyone come together and dance, like social dance, and not wanting it to end really. Like it usually goes much later than we were anticipating, and so those are a few memories. And I know that same energy, that same excitement from all the years that it's happened are going to go into this, virtual camp that we're going to do. And not only are we going to bring that in, but we're going to create energy together, virtually, and prove and show that this medicine is that powerful, and that our ancestors taught us um, to change and pivot in a way with the times without losing our central core values, our beliefs, and our strength. We know how to pivot and make things happen. So I'm really excited to see this unfold.
I was like, ooh, I'm gonna talk about the food, and then Sid was like, okay, food. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do cultural sharing. I think, those are two of my favorite highlights. I think one of my other ones is like, well, first it's like right before camp, even though it's like just chaos and madness of like transferring U-Hauls of stuff over, but like our teamwork on the internal team, like how efficiently we work together. And then like even Robert's mind when it comes to the U-Haul, like he goes into Tetris mode and he's like, here we go. This goes here, and then how we all work together to making this happen. I think next is just like the energy of having all of the youth, present, like in the beginning when we're doing like intros, and when we have every community stand up and they like cheer, or just like that pure energy is like one of my favorite things to just kind of watch. And then the cultural sharing, because I think we build so much through the days that at the end it's like all giving, like everyone's giving it their all, everyone's giving all of their energy. And I think we've all been social distancing, I hope, and that in this time when we show up Monday and Tuesday, that I know our team is ready to give everything. And I'm hoping that the youth will meet us with the same energy, and we'll have an amazing time. This is new, going online, going virtual. So I'm super excited. I'm super thankful for all of the work that has gone in. So we'll go into some closing words from all of us. I think from me, all I want to say is, for one, thank you for joining us today. This hour went by fairly quick. And I'm just, I hope all of you are doing well. I hope that you're having the conversations that are needed. I hope that you're still social distancing. I know that, new norms are being set, and sometimes we feel like, it's still safe to go out, but be really mindful about, who you surround yourself with. COVID is still spreading really fast. I know here in our county, our numbers are really going up really fast, especially in the people of color communities. And so, be really mindful, stay safe, wash your hands, wear a mask, wear gloves if you have to. I straight up look like, a crazy person when I go into the store. I have like a long jacket on, even if it's like 80 degrees, with my gloves. My gloves usually don't fit because my brothers buy them and they're like 2 sizes too big. So I have like little rubber bands sometimes. I just look nuts with my mask. whatever it takes. Don't worry about what you look like. Just stay safe for you and your family. And I appreciate all of you. Last words, guys.
Yes. I just want to say thank you guys for, making all of us individually making the space for each other and giving all our energy towards the BLM movement. And then I just want to just like touch back on like thinking about our trans Black women, our trans Black men, our Black men who are getting killed by the police, but not only that, but a lot of our Black women who are being killed by the police that, it's not talked about as much, but it is happening just as much, on both sides. And also our, those that are incarcerated. Um, yeah, it's just, there's a lot of healing that needs to happen, and I feel fairly confident with um, the way things are moving today, and I'm happy to be a part of that wave and showing that support.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening. And to add on to what I was talking about on being informed, that's part of it. But our Black relatives that I've talked to and heard from and read about say that that's a good place to start, but we really need to move that into action. That those feelings that we get and the new information we learn should fill us with even more conviction to make change in our communities, to apply pressure to the public servants and to leadership in our communities to actually bring about the change that we want to see. And so that involves signing petitions. It involves donating money, or there's even a YouTube playlist you can watch, and that generates income for the Black Lives Matters movement. And there's just different ways in which we can be very actionable, and that's why I like different organizations and initiatives. And there's an account that I follow on Instagram called the Changing Woman Collective, and they offer a lot of great cards that show like action items. And so that's one that I recommend. Apart from that, I wanted to say, speaking of the Warrior Camp, another thing that I love there is just like the movement that we do with youth and the sports, the original games that we play from. It could be double ball to just other games that we play there. And that is a segue to talking about, just very quickly, a collaboration we had with N7, which talks about wellness and healing through movement. And so we'll be sharing more about that in our channels, but there's just so much work to do. And thank you so much again for listening to us and for tuning in to these power hours. They personally helped me a lot, and I hope they're helping you as well. Elakwa.
Thank you, guys. All right, everybody. We'll see you. We won't see you tomorrow, but the Power Hour will be here tomorrow. We hope that you tune in every day at noon Pacific Standard Time. And yeah, we appreciate you all, and we'll see you next time.
Hey, peace.